Here are our key stats from April 2022, and as you'll see, they're very much in line with the trends that we've seen over the past several months of high tenant demand, low property supply, competition for properties driving up rents. But the figure that I really wanted to home in on is this one at the bottom, which is the average increased rent that we're achieving on the properties that we re-let during April. So this is properties that we've let in previous years, and we've come to let them again during April. We've compared the rent this time versus last time, and we've seen how much more rent we're achieving this time around. Now, broadly speaking, average rents across all of Bath have increased 10 to 12% across the last 12 months, and this figure is very much above that. There's a reason for that, and that's that two of the properties we let during April have really skewed this number. And I wanted to mention them because I think they're significant. So they are both slightly larger properties. We let nearly no family homes during April. There's a real shortage of those, but these are on the larger side of the properties that we did let. They're 3-bedroom garden maisonettes. On one of them, we achieved a rent that was 40% higher than the last time we let this property, and on the other, 30%. So you'll see this real shortage of the larger properties in Bath, the family homes, the 3-bedroom maisonettes, bigger properties has really driven up those prices. On smaller 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments, the average rent increase is 10 to 12%. On larger properties, you may even be able to drive up your rents higher than that. In terms of that property shortage, here's a quick snapshot of the number of properties that are available on the market right now at the start of May, which is standing at 90. That's not including student lets. That's just below where we were this time last month, where it stood at 96 or 97. So that number of properties on the market is not changing. The shortage of property supply is not going away. So that's the scene here in Bath. A couple of items that may be of interest to you in the wider property market that happened during the month of April. One was a very significant court ruling by the Supreme Court in the notorious Trecarroll House Limited versus Rouncefeld case that's been running for more than 2 years and finally came to a head in the Supreme Court in April. Now, if you're a landlord, this is actually relatively positive news, as the Supreme Court ruled that a landlord who had not served a gas safety certificate before the tenancy started could still evict their tenants via Section 21. Now, before this, it had been largely thought that not serving your compliance documents prior to the start of the tenancy meant that your Section 21 would be deemed invalid. However, the Supreme Court ruled that because there was a valid gas safety certificate in place at the start of the tenancy that the landlord subsequently served on the tenants, then that Section 21 would still be valid. So the lesson to learn from this is make sure your compliance documents are in place before your tenancy starts. That's gas safety, EICR, even things like the EPC. Ideally, best practice is still to serve them on your tenants before the tenancy starts, but if you've not done that, don't panic. This court ruling means that as long as you serve them on your tenants before you serve a Section 21, you should still be okay. But if you've got any doubts about that, contact a qualified letting agent and have a chat with them about it. The other thing that the government confirmed during the month of April was that these new regulations that are going to amend the smoke and carbon monoxide regulations 2015 are going to be brought in later this year. So we now think probably in the autumn that this extension to the regulations will be introduced that requires landlords to have carbon monoxide alarms basically in rooms that contain boilers. There's a couple of extra addendums to that, a bit more detail. We've written a lengthier blog on the subject, or contact me if you'd like to chat about it. But if you're a landlord, make sure you get ahead of this new legislation, fit a carbon monoxide alarm in any room containing a boiler. Again, there's much more detail to that. Do get in touch if you would like to discuss it. But that's all for the month of April. I think it's going to be a busy May. We're already seeing a few more properties come to the market than we did in April. Maybe the shortage, it's not going to go away, but maybe we'll see a bit more supply to the market in May. I certainly hope so, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.